For the first 37 minutes, episode 1 is a genuinely good superhero origin story. Mark gets his powers. His dad coaches him. They throw a softball around the literal planet. The episode wraps up. Mark picks his superhero name, the credits roll, and there are still 10 minutes of runtime left. The Guardians of the Globe, this show's Justice League, get emergency alerts and assemble at their own headquarters. Red Rush, Immortal, War Woman, Martian Man, Darkwing, all of them confused, starting to realize nobody actually sent this alert. And then a shadow drops from above. Omni Man, the guy they've worked alongside for years. What follows is 8 minutes of the most viscerally disturbing television in superhero history. Red Rush moves to intercept. Omni Man catches him mid-punch and crushes his skull between his palms. Slow motion shot from Red Rush's own perspective. One eye pops out of its socket. One down, 6 to go. Martian Man disemboweled. Green Ghost decapitated. Her corpse used as a shield against Aquarius. Darkwing's head slammed into the floor until it stops working. The Immortal falls last. Omni Man collapses from his injury. He wakes up in a government medical facility. The entire world thinks he was a victim. Here's what makes this scene work beyond the gore, and this show has a lot of it. It's what it does to the 37 minutes you just watched. Every warm moment with Nolan and Mark, every time he put on that cape, it was a performance. The whole thing, the animators made a deliberate choice to have the Guardians fight back harder than in the original comic. In the comics, Omni Man kills them before they can react. In the show, they resist. They land real hits. They make him bleed, which makes it worse because they gave everything they had and it still wasn't close. Flaxans have been trying to invade Earth through interdimensional portals. Third attempt. Omni Man arrives, scatters them, and follows the leader back through the portal before it closes. Mark watches him disappear. Debbie is asked what she thinks Nolan's doing over there, probably explaining to them nicely why they should leave Earth alone, she says. Cut to the Flaxan homeworld. Omni Man grabs the leader by the head and drives him through several buildings until the body is simply gone, just a fragment of skull, which he crushes. Then he destroys the rest of the planet. Entire city, thousands killed. Because of time dilation, he spends what amounts to months on their world. He comes back to Earth a few hours later with a full beard. Nobody on Earth knows. The news just says, Omni Man bravely repelled the invasion. The Flaxans were villains. They were attacking Earth, but Omni Man didn't repel them. He wiped them out and went home for dinner. The show presents it almost as a character quirk, a glimpse of what he's capable of when nobody's watching, except someone is always watching. Debbie has figured out the truth. She's kicked Nolan out. The GDA, the government's secret superhero agency, deploys cloaked soldiers to the house. Nolan kills all 4 of them before they can regroup. He finds the GDA's surveillance post across the street and attacks it. Donald Ferguson, Cecil's loyal lieutenant, pulls out an oversized weapon, tells his team to run, and triggers a contained nuclear detonation, a suicide bomb, right there in a suburban house. Omni Man survives. Donald doesn't, at least not as the man he was. We find out in season 2 that the GDA rebuilt him as an android with no memory of his own death. He only learns the truth by watching the footage of Omni Man killing him. The Mahler twins dug up Immortal's body and resurrect him. He wakes up knowing exactly who he is and what happened. He flies straight at Omni Man. The entire aerial battle is broadcast live by news helicopter. The whole world watches. Invincible arrives just in time to see it end. Omni Man drives his fist through Immortal's chest. Immortal, still fighting, jams his thumbs into Omni Man's eye socket. Omni Man tears him in half. 2 halves of a body that survived thousands of years fall out of the sky. And Nolan turns to his son, covered in blood, in front of the entire world. We need to talk, he says. The episode has no epilogue. Every single previous episode ended with a scene after the main action, not this one. The show just cuts, because there's nothing to soften what just happened. No recovery shot exists for this. The title, We Need to Talk, is a direct lift from Omni Man's final line in issue 10 of the original comic. In the animated version, it lands harder because the whole world just watched him say it on television. The fight between Omni Man and Invincible takes up more than half of episode 8's runtime. Not crammed into a finale, the episode is the fight. Nolan finally tells Mark the truth. The Viltrumites aren't a civilization that protects planets. They're a conquering empire. They killed off their own weak, built themselves into the most powerful species in the galaxy, and sent soldiers to planets across the universe to prep them for conquest. Nolan was Earth's assigned soldier. He volunteered for it, he's been here for decades, and now it's time. Mark refuses. Nolan's response is to punch his son through downtown Chicago. Not to kill him, to prove a point. He wants Mark to feel how fragile human life is, so he uses him as a weapon. Buildings collapse on civilians. He punches Mark with enough force to create a shockwave. Mark saves a fighter pilot who ejects from a downed plane, and Nolan walks over and crushes the pilot's skull in front of him. That was your fault. Your stubbornness against the inevitable killed those people. He kills someone Mark just saved, then blames Mark for the death. That's not a villain's speech. That's a specific kind of psychological damage the show is deliberately inflicting on both Mark and the audience. Because for a second, just a second, you almost follow the logic, and then comes the train. Omni Man grabs Mark by the back of the head and holds his face in front of an oncoming subway. Mark's Viltrumite body is immovable. The train tears apart against him, and every passenger is thrown against that immovable frame and killed. He is covered in blood and can't move, can only be used. This scene became an Omni Man fatality in Mortal Kombat 1. Which tells you everything about where it landed culturally. But in context, it's not an action. It's a father turning his son into a murder weapon to break his will. The entire fight is being broadcast to the GDA. Debbie can hear everything, which means she hears this. I do love your mother, but she's more like a pet to me. J.K. Simmons, making something catastrophic sound calm and considered. Fans have argued ever since whether he meant it. The fandom wiki notes it's widely believed that calling Debbie a pet was the specific moment that destroyed any chance of Mark joining him. That Nolan may have said it precisely because he couldn't bring himself to keep fighting his son. The show never resolves the question. That's the point. The fight ends on a mountain. Mark's legs are broken. His teeth are gone. He's barely there. And Nolan is standing over him, ready to end it. He stopped because he looks at Mark's face and he remembers a Little League game. Mark, still without his powers, hitting a ball just far enough to score a run. The smallest victory, and Nolan remembers being proud. That's enough. He can't do it. He flies off into space. The camera holds on Mark, alone. Season 2 opens with what looks like a Season 1 continuation. Invincible is fighting Immortal. For 1 second, you think you know where you are. Then Omni Man arrives, rips Immortal's arms off, and decapitates him. And Mark says, thanks. This is an alternate universe, one where Mark said yes on that mountain. Propaganda loops over the ruins of American City. Every resistance crushed. When the last holdout group tries to fight back, Mark snaps Eve's spine, paralyzing her. He practiced that move before perfecting it. He wanted to keep it non-lethal. Omni Man kills the rest. The disturbing part isn't the violence. It's how normal Mark seems doing it. Calm, efficient, not a villain, just someone who made one different choice and followed it all the way through. According to Angstrom Levy, who has traveled across dozens of universes, this isn't unusual. In almost every timeline, Mark joined Omni Man. The version of Mark you've been rooting for is the statistical anomaly. This cold open is the rule. Nolan didn't just flee Earth, he started over. He married a Thraxan woman named Andressa. They have a son, Oliver. And 3 Viltrumites show up to commit genocide against the Thraxan for this violation of Viltrumite law. Nolan needs Mark's help to stop. Mark's reaction is understandably not great. His dad abandoned his mom, moved to another planet, married someone else, had another family, and now needs a favor. Fight destroys most of Thraxa. Nolan crushes one Viltrumite's skull with a double punch. Eventually, Lucan, thought defeated, returns and breaks Nolan's spine. He's loaded onto a Viltrumite ship to be executed for treason. Last words to Mark. Read my books, Mark. General Craig cracks Mark's molar when Mark tells him off, then orders him conquer Earth in Nolan's place. Mark is left alone on a destroyed planet, beaten half to death, next to his unconscious infant half-brother. This is the show at its most emotionally brutal, not through violence, but through the specific cruelty of what it reveals. Nolan genuinely loves his Thraxan family. He also destroyed it by being there. He genuinely tried to protect Thraxa. He also caused the attack. There's no clean read on Nolan Grayson. There never has been. By season 3, Nolan is in a Viltrumite space prison. Alan, the alien, his unlikely ally, has spent months trying to convince him to escape and join the fight against the Empire. Nolan refuses. Not because he can't, because he thinks he deserves to die. When the executioners come, he goes willingly. 2 Viltrumites beat him in a formal execution process. Slow, methodical, and he doesn't fight back. He accepts it. He believes everything he did to Mark, to Debbie, to the Guardians, to Earth is worth dying for. Alan stages a prison break-in. He frees Battleby. He fights to the execution. And as he's getting beaten down by the second executioner, he says something simple to Nolan. Not a speech about the war, not a strategic argument. He tells him he's his friend. Nolan breaks his chain. The violence that follows, spilling out through the prison hull and into space, is almost secondary. What matters is what this scene reveals about where Nolan is. This is a man defined by his capacity for horrific violence, now sitting still and accepting horrific violence done to him because he thinks he's earned it. That might be the most unsettling version of Omni Man the show has ever given. Not because he's dangerous, because he's not trying to be. Every moment we covered tonight connects to the same thing the show has been building since that first episode ended and those 10 extra minutes started. Omni Man isn't disturbing because he's powerful. He's disturbing because of how familiar. He's the dad who teaches his kid to fly, who remembers a Little League game, who sits at the dinner table. And then the mask comes off. The show has been renewed for seasons 4 and 5. More Nolan Grayson is coming, and based on the trajectory, things are going to get considerably more complicated before they get cleaner. If this video did it for you, hit subscribe. We do deep dives on animated shows that earn more conversation than they get. Drop in the comments which Omni Man moment hit you hardest. Genuinely curious. And if you haven't started Invincible yet, go. Start from episode 1. Trust the first 37 minutes. We'll see you in the next one.